I'm the Irish guy, right? So today I'm going to take a look at every Euro 2024 squad and find each team's worst, most stupid, weirdest squad pick. Someone who's very inclusion in their nation squads. It just makes no sense. Why? Just why are some of these guys on the plane to Germany? Right, let's go. Germany, Alexander Pavlovich, Bayern Munich. Lads. Welcome to Germany's very own version of Adam Wharton, an obscure 20-year-old defensive midfielder who wasn't famous a year ago. This is somebody who up until about 3 weeks ago could probably have stood in the middle of London and not a single person would bother him for a hug. Even as I'm telling you now, most Premier League fans probably don't have a Scooby-Doo who he is. He could walk into the TalkSport studio and the likes of Gabriel Bonlehor would think he's there to deliver him a pizza. I mean, to look at him, he does look a bit like Gio Reyna's stupid cousin, the one who sits in the garden eating worms all day. Look, he is clearly talented. And he slowly wedged his way into Bayern Munich's side over the second half of the season, and like Wharton at Crystal Palace, he's been involved in a lot of wins. But he had never even made his Germany debut until last week. I mean, weaseling himself into Julian Nagelsmann's squad over his far more experienced club teammate Leon Goretzka. It's weird. Poor old Pavlovich. When he returns to Bayern Munich pre-season, don't sit anywhere near Goretzka on the bus. I can't promise he won't suddenly try to bite off your ear, especially if you've won the Euros instead of him. Look, clearly this kid is a talent, but to take him over a 5-time Bundesliga winner and a Champions League champion, it's strange. Scotland, Lewis Morgan, New York Red Bulls. Look, Lewis Morgan is probably absolutely buzzing to make the Scotland squad, so I hope none of his extended cousins click on this video, or I will feel like I'm sort of bursting into a 9-year-old's birthday party and choosing to punch the cake. Well, get out of here, Morgan. There's a 27-year-old winger who's not good enough for the Scottish Premier League, a Rangers Academy reject. He moved to Celtic in January 2018. He moved to Sunderland in League One, where he scored once, and since then, out of sight, out of mind in the MLS with first Inter Miami, and now New York Red Bulls, where to be fair, his stats are good. 9 goals scored in 16 games in 2024, but, so, I mean, that club's record goal scorer is Bradley Wright Phillips, someone who's only the 3rd best footballer in his family. I mean, he has got a hope that Sean Wright Phillips' son DiMarzio fails at Stoke, otherwise, Bradley could be 4th. Anyway, calling up Morgan 6 years after his last Scotland cap, it is strange. I know he's playing well for New York Red Bulls, but this is a league where Christian Benteke is second in the Golden Boot race. This is someone who used to go on 40-game goal droughts in the Premier League or Crystal Palace 5 years ago, back when he looked like he cared more about eating cookies than winning things. So this is an ugly call. Hungary, Boton Ballo Parma. I don't know, he's a 22-year-old centre back who, yeah, has just helped Parma win the Serie B title. So maybe I'm talking absolute wet nonsense. Maybe Boton Bala is the real deal. I don't know. Next, Switzerland, Xherdan Shaqiri, Chicago Fire. Look, Xherdan Shaqiri is the most naturally talented Swiss footballer in the world. I think we can all agree on that. So me saying that at just 32 years of age, he doesn't even belong in their fairly average international squad. Oh, I might as well announce to the world that I want to eat Ben Affleck's head in a sandwich, right? It doesn't make sense, right? No, it does, because Shaqiri is finished. This is somebody who's done ever since quitting Liverpool 3 years ago. I mean, don't forget, he did pathetically fail at Lyon, just being a big chocolate splotch in League One. He's since gone to the MLS with Chicago Fire, where he's been handed a mammoth wage as a designated player, and clearly has chosen to spend his new wealth in McDonald's. I mean, I'm sure if you search his house now, there'll be at least 14 empty hamburger boxes strewn across his bedroom. There's probably at least 4 chocolate milkshakes living in his fridge, with some pesky rat tucking into the remnants of what was once an Egg McMuffin sitting on the telly. Ask Chicago fans, and they will tell you it's been a complete waste of time. He's like if one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles decided to live on a James Corden diet for a month. Lads, before Messi arrived in America, Shaqiri was the MLS's highest paid player on over £8 million a year. His hunger for the sport is gone, and he's now just some lazy dwarf daydreaming about donuts during matches. This is one tournament too many. Spain, Ayoze Perez, Real Betis. Okay. What is Ayoze Perez doing in the Spain squad? I genuinely never thought I would see the day. Lads, this is someone who was all hype 10 years ago when this young Spanish forward joined Newcastle for £1.5 million and chose to brag about how he turned down Real Madrid and Barcelona. Yeah, sure you did, Ayoze. I'm sure he also rejected a date with Beyonce too. He was a decent link-up second striker at Newcastle, but he never came close to a Spain call-up. And then he was a £30 million waste of time at Leicester City. Lads, last year, he was an unwanted cheese muffin for a team getting relegated. By the way, the second relegation of his career. Imagine we told back then that in that Leicester side, James Maddison would not go to Euro 2024, but the benched Perez would? It makes no sense. Both he and Joselu were in the same mouldy Newcastle side under Rafa Benitez. To think they would both be in the same Euro 2024 squad when they're both in their 30s? What? Lads, I touched Ayoze Perez once. That sounds weird. But no, I was on a cheap Ryanair flight from Madrid to Newcastle. He was on it with me. I couldn't believe it. And he stood up to get off and I said,
Ayoze, is it you?
And I touched him on the shoulder of his leather jacket. He looked pretty creeped out. So I'm happy for the guy, but I'm confused. Yes, he just had a 9-goal season for Real Betis, but so? Those are the sort of average numbers he was putting up on a consistent basis at Newcastle. And the likes of Julian Lopetegui and Luis Enrique looked like they would sooner eat barbecued leprechaun than give him a ring. By the way, honorable mention for the inclusion of Sevilla right back Jesus Navas. Nothing wrong with him, he's a respectable pro. It's just, he turns 39 this year. 39. That would be like if Gareth Southgate had put James Milner in his England squad this month. Croatia, Ivan Perisic, hat-trick split. Croatia fans might be annoyed by people who constantly call them an old team. But I'm sorry, it's players like Ivan Perisic still being in your squad. He was a class option at the 2018 World Cup, sure. But he's now a 35-year-old left-wing back who was chucked at Tottenham in January off the back of destroying his ACL. And he slowly tried to recover some minutes under his belt back in Croatia with hat-trick split, where he started twice. That's it. 2 starts all season and he's in the Euro 2024 squad. This is someone who has not completed the full 90 minutes of a football match at club level since the 4-3 defeat at Anfield in April of last year. I mean, his previous 90 minutes under his belt before that was in a 6-1 loss at Newcastle, where Spurs were 5-0 down after 20 minutes. For all we know, he can be scarred by that game for life. As soon as he popped his ACL in September, that should have been his international career over. Honestly, Croatia, you do seem like that pathetic old grandma who just won't accept that her dog is dead, and so it just drags the poor lifeless chihuahua up and down the road. Italy, Nicola Fagiolo, Juventus. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Luciano Spalletti. I applaud this man's gumption because he could have just played it safe and chosen normal footballers. But to leave out Juventus and Euro 2020 midfield star Manuel Locatelli, and in his place, putting one of football's biggest bad boys in Nicola Fagiolo, his club teammate who was banished to the naughty step for the last 6 months. It's weird. Look, Sandro Tonali was the huge news when he was banned for betting back in October. Look, Fagiolo, he was given a 7-month ban for the same thing, missing nearly the whole season before returning for the final 2 games. He was given 19 minutes against Bologna and then 79 minutes against Monza. But lads, that was this man's entire Serie A season since the 1st of October. And he still gets in the Euro 2024 squad? What? Are you telling me that if Sandro Tonali returned to Newcastle for the final Premier League match, oh, then he'd be in the squad too? After spending 50% of the last year sitting at home, watching Shrek repeats on telly and stuffing his face with cheese, honestly, poor old Tonali's best mate has probably been the Deliveroo bloke bringing meatballs to his door. To include Fagioli in Italy's squad, after spending the last 6 months playing PlayStation with his dog, to exclude a Locatelli who played by the rules and has played nearly every single game for Juventus this season, only sitting out the final one, making way for Fagiolo on the final day. It is so ruthlessly cruel. Honestly, Spalletti, this is Godfather levels of ruthlessness. What next? Is Locatelli gonna wake up with a dead horse in his bed? I can't believe Fagiolo was in the squad. It's like the bad kid at school getting suspended for the rest of the school term because he pulled down the principal's pants at assembly, and yet still gets to go to the end of year prom with Taylor Swift. It's confusing. Albania, Jasir Asani, Gwangju FC. I'll be honest, I have never heard of Jasan Asani, this 29-year-old right winger. I've never seen him play football. For all I know, he's top class. But I mean, it's just the fact he's playing in South Korea with Gwangju FC. It doesn't look good. Slovenia, Just Bilicic, Maribor. Look, I know this video is about worst squad picks, but I don't actually hate this one. I'm actually impressed. But it is surprising. Josip Ilicic was one of Slovenia's best players. A goal machine from the wing for Palermo, Fiorentina and Atalanta over the last decade. But he retired from the national team in 2021. He went through a hard time and left Italy altogether, going back to Slovenia where he's regained some form from Maribor. Fair play to him, but I mean, he just turned 37 in January. I am shocked. Denmark, Thomas Delaney and Delect. Thomas Delaney is done. Yes, this is a man whose career severely annoyed me, because with a name like that, he sounds like someone who should be working behind the till in Centra, in the middle of a deserted town in Sligo. This is somebody who should have been brought up by his granddad on a country farm. This is someone whose first kiss should have been with a pig called Sheila. The fact that he was a Borussia Dortmund midfield linchpin in the Champions League and starring for Denmark instead, oh, it rubbed me the wrong way. It's like when we saw a bloke called Daniel O'Shaughnessy playing at the last Euros for Finland. Come on, that's the name of somebody who sounds like he should have been in Father Ted or Kilna Scully. Look, the rise of Jude Bellingham cancelled Delaney's career very quickly. There was no need for this guy in Germany anymore. He then went and flopped at Sevilla. He was a non-entity on loan to Hoffenheim, and then last season he was playing in Anderlecht's midfield. I don't get it. Serbia, Peter Ratkov, Red Bull Salzburg. Look, Red Bull Salzburg has developed a reputation recently of producing some goal machines. And here we have Peter Ratkov, a 6'4" 20-year-old Serbian centre forward, off the back of a 5-goal season in the Austrian Bundesliga. I mean, he's hardly a mini Mitrovic. England, Luke Shaw, Manchester United. Gareth Southgate must realise that he's making a mistake. Luke Shaw is his big, desperate gamble. England are just making the same fatal mistake they made in 2006. A chunky Manchester United star who has not played in months. Oh, he might be fit for the second group game. So you're gonna put an injured bloke on the plane and just fingers crossed, right? Yeah, it didn't work for Rooney in Germany in 2006, and it won't for Shaw either. This is somebody who has not played since February. His match fitness is going to be a joke. This is somebody who has probably been eating beef burgers on the couch. He has not completed the full 90 minutes of a football match since February the 1st. How disgusted do you think Tyreek Mitchell must feel? I mean, Southgate clearly has not ignored the form of Crystal Palace. He's taken Henderson, Gehi, Wharton, and Eze. But in the one position where England are suffering a legitimate crisis, he is instead bringing an injured meat muffin instead of the informed Mitchell. How unfair must that feel? Poland, Kamil Grosicki, Pogan Zessin. Look, I know former Hull City and West Brom winger Kamil Grosicki is an exceptionally experienced international. Come on, he made his debut for Poland in 2008 and has over 90 senior caps. But he's also just turned 36 years old. I mean, he was deemed not good enough for West Brom before the last Euros and has since been playing back in Poland with Pogan Jetchin. Well, to be fair, his numbers are good. But surely he's too old for this tournament. Surely. I mean, West Brom fans would probably tell you he's got the end product of turtle vomit. Netherlands, Gini Wijnaldum Al Ettifaq. If Ronald Koeman wants to be taken seriously as a truly quality manager, then he needed to make a big decision and leave Gini Wijnaldum at home. Come on, Gareth Southgate is half the coach of a Koeman, and he had a parallel choice to make. Both Wijnaldum and Jordan Henderson were ridiculously successful midfield monsters at Liverpool. Yeah, they both go to Al Ettifaq in Saudi last summer, and one of them effectively had his international career cancelled on the spot. But Wijnaldum, somebody who's been strolling around the pitch like a casual dog walker for months, marshalling the midfield for an incredibly average mid-table side in an environment where even the manager, Steven Gerrard, he's what, the third best paid manager in the world? Not even he really cares what's happening on the pitch. Would not be shocked to find out that he spends most games sitting on the bench reading a Where's Wally book. This is Wijnaldum's third different club since leaving Liverpool. Can anyone tell me a single thing this guy has done since quitting Anfield 3 years ago? No. He was anonymous at both PSG and Roma. He's had bad injuries, dreadful form. He is done at the top level. I mean, Pochettino left him out of his PSG Champions League squad. He made his choice to go to a nursing home in the desert, taking him over a young and hungry Feyenoord midfielder Quinton Timber. It's a joke. Austria, Andreas Weimann, West Brom. Why is Andreas Weimann still getting selected for Euro 2024 squad? Yes, that same erratic Aston Villa striker from 10 years ago. He's just spent 6 years at Bristol City, where sure, he had a spectacular season after the last Euros. 22 goals in one campaign was great. That earned him his first Austria call-up for 7 years. But nowadays, 1 goal in 20 games for Bristol before January. Sorry, Weimann, but why are you there? France, N'Golo Kante, Al Ittihad. N'Golo Kante should not be going to Euro 2024, and the fact that he has, it makes a bit of a mockery out of Didier Deschamps. Why are you bringing along a moldy, crusty old bean sprout like N'Golo Kante? A completely passive midfielder who made his choice and went to Saudi for the bag last summer. As soon as anybody does that, they should be forfeiting their place in France's glittering star-studded squad. I know there's a lack of defensive midfield options for France after Boubacar Kamara's injury at Aston Villa, but even Lazio's Matteo Guendouzi, no world beater sure, but at least he is playing competitive European football. But Kante, Belgium, Yannick Carrasco, Al-Shabaab. Look, on paper, in pure black and white, a Real Madrid goalkeeper who just won the Champions League this month has been left at home, meaning that somebody who just got relegated at Luton Town is now on the plane to Germany. That is really weird. I promise you it is. But you know what? No, I'm not going to pick on Thomas Krasinski. I'm going to pick on Yannick Carrasco. But lads, I don't care if this left winger has all the talent in the world. He is a shameless moneybags mercenary. First ditching Atletico Madrid for Dalian Yafang in China. And then he comes groveling back to Atletico after the Chinese balloon burst. And yet last year, did the same thing again. This time running off to Al-Shabaab in China. I'm sorry, but for someone in their 30s to be playing at such a pudding standard of football, if I was Belgian boss Domenico Tedesco, I would be leaving him at home. Slovakia, Peter Pekarik, Hertha Berlin. What is it with all the pensioners at this tournament? I know Peter Pekarik is a Hertha Berlin stalwart who has over 120 caps. He literally turns 38 this year, bringing a 38-year-old right back to the party. Someone who's played just 120 minutes of football this season in the German second tier. That is just 2 hours of football spread out over an entire year. And there's got to be a reason for that. Probably because his legs no longer work. He played 5 games for Hertha Berlin the season before that too. That is 10 games spread out over 2 seasons. That is just a little over 320 minutes. He has had a combined less game time in the last 2 seasons than the extended version of the 3rd Lord of the Rings film. How is he at an international tournament when he's just an elderly cheerleader these days? Make it make sense. Romania, Dennis Alabek Muether. Yeah, me, Dennis Alabek. An Inter Milan reject striker who has been such a journeyman in his entire career, traveling in so many different destinations. His poor wife has probably barely made any friends, just spending the last decade drinking wine with her cat. Anyway, he's a pretty rubbish player who plays for Muether in the Qatar Stars League. Yeah, they just finished bottom. You are bringing along somebody who just got relegated in Qatar. Give me strength. Ukraine, Roman Yaremchuk, Valencia. I mean, I guess Roman Yaremchuk has had a pretty poor season at Valencia, and he's actually been rubbish for a few years now, but overall, I think this squad is fine. Turkey, Yunus Akgün, Leicester City. Imagine if I stuck Real Madrid teenage sensation Arda Güler into this list and said, oh, he's too unproven. I would probably have enraged Turkish butchers throwing pigs at me in the street. Nah, instead let's go with Leicester City's on-loan winger Yunus Akgün. I don't know, clearly talented, but he's been very much a bit of an underwhelming flop since arriving from Adana Demirspor. 1 goal in 23 championship games, mostly rotting on Enzo Maresca's bench in the Championship. Is that really good enough to get a Euro 2024 plane ticket? No. Georgia, I don't know. I have no clue. You tell me. Portugal, Diogo Jota. Okay, Diogo Jota on paper just had another very good season at Liverpool. 15 goals in all competitions. Great. But he has been absolutely tormented by an injury in the second half of the season to such an extent where he has barely played for Liverpool. Yeah, his form in January was brilliant. He was basically carrying Liverpool on his back, but a knee ligament tear pretty much ended his season in February. And I don't know, but Portugal are also including Pedro Neto in their squad. Same thing, he was pretty much wiped out by an injury in the second half of the season for Wolves. Bringing both of them, it looks weirder than bringing a 41-year-old Pepe. And look, there is an alternative. I know they play different positions, but Pedro Goncalves just had the season of his career. A former Wolves misfit who can play as a centre attacking midfielder or on the left wing or on the right wing. And he just had an amazing season for Sporting Lisbon. 18 goals and 17 assists for a team who won the title. Those are Bruno Fernandes sort of numbers. I don't know, but to take a risk, a rusty Jota, short of match fitness, and leaving behind an absolute sporting star boy like Pedro, to me, this is a bit stupid. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think? What is the weirdest one? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.